Hi there, it's me Amanda again. Welcome to my third video. Hopefully you've had a chance to have a look at the other two, but if you haven't, they're still available on the For You channel, so pop over and have a look and you might find some helpful tips or some insights that just help and support you through this lockdown time. So today I've decided to look at the topic of self-belief. I think self-belief, resilience, mental wellness are all really high priorities for most of us nowadays, and particularly during this lockdown is even more important. So I thought it would be a worthwhile use of my third video. I'm going to share with you first of all my understanding, a very brief introduction into what self-belief is, and then I'm going to share with you an activity that can help you to build your self-belief. Now, it's only the beginning of the process, and actually it needs to be continued, and you need to continue contributing and building on it for it to work. But I'm doing that with my daughters, so hopefully that will bring a different dynamic to this video today. So without further ado, self-belief. I'm going to keep this very brief. I think people use lots of different terms when they're talking about self-belief, and I found a structure that really works for me, and hopefully it might work for you. So if the way I see it and the way I understand it is to think of self-belief as having two parts. The first part is self-esteem, that makes up our self-belief, and the other part is our self-confidence. Now these two things are very different, but added together they are our self-belief. So let me just talk you through very briefly what I see the differences being. Self-esteem. Self-esteem to me is how you value yourself as a person. The person deep down inside of you, not what you can do, not what you've done, but who you are as a person. And it's about the way you think about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, the way you talk to yourself that defines your self-esteem. Now the thing with self-esteem is it's not visible, and it is developed very much from the beginning of your life. So from when you're a baby all the way through, your self-esteem is being laid down. And the way you are spoken to when you're a child and the way you are nurtured has a big impact on your self-esteem. And I like to often think about the self-esteem being the roots maybe of a flower or a tree. It's the bit that you can't see. It's the things that are first there, but actually also the things that are really important in helping us to get through the difficult weather conditions, to get through the tough times. And then I like to think about self-confidence as the bit of the tree or the bit of the flower that you can see. So the bit that is more obvious to people. Now, of course, all of us can fake our confidence to some degree, I get that. But generally, confidence is something that people can see more than they can your self-esteem. And the thing with self-confidence is that unlike your self-esteem, your roots, it's much more likely to change based on the conditions around it, based on the environment, based on the weather, based on the situation. Whereas the roots, your self-esteem, generally stay pretty static. They don't change from day to day. And although we can work on developing our self-esteem, it takes a lot more energy and a lot more focus to do that. So self-confidence fluctuates and it depends on the situation. It's also often about maybe our ability to perform a particular task, to perform a skill, to handle a situation. Confidence is normally related to a particular thing, and that means that we could be really confident in one thing but not confident in another. So again, it's very changeable. I'll give you an example. If I am running a training course and I'm doing a particular session on something and that session goes really well, the next time I'm asked to deliver the same session, I will go in confident, full of belief that I'm going to absolutely be able to deliver this to the best of my ability. However, if that session then goes horribly wrong and I completely lose the plot and nobody understands what I'm talking about, the next time I'm asked to deliver that particular session, clearly I'm going to have lots of self-doubt, lots of worry, and not feel confident at all. So that's a big difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. Self-esteem is very much constant, doesn't change day to day, is pretty static. Confidence can change in a minute, in an hour. Okay. The one thing I would say though is that the higher your self-esteem, the more you can manage those fluctuations in confidence. So what we notice is people with high levels of self-esteem generally tend not to have the fluctuations in their confidence that people with low self-esteem have. You know, I guess it makes sense. If you have a strong inner belief about yourself that you are good and you believe that you can do stuff and you're a good person and you're confident in who you are, then things are going to affect you less than if you have lots of self-doubt and you don't see yourself as being good. So a very brief introduction, as I said, just to help you think about self-belief being made up of two parts and how those two parts are different. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through the activity that I mentioned earlier with my daughters. And this activity helps us to build both our self-confidence and our self-esteem. So we're going to take you through the activity now. I've been joined by my two beautiful helpers and daughters. This is
Megan.
And this is
Bethan.
And we did the activity yesterday. And it does take a little bit of effort because it doesn't always come naturally to think about some of these things. And of course, being, younger, it needs a little bit more encouragement and prompting. But it's also about the questions you ask. So we'll share with you what we did and hopefully you'll be able to do something similar. I think the point is if you can get your children to think about the things that they've achieved, the qualities and the skills that they've got and what makes them a great person, then that's a really good start. So we'll share with you what we did yesterday and the structure we used. So Bethan's going to hold up a summarised version of what we did, to be honest, just so it's easy for you to see on here. So I'm just going to pull that down a little bit, Bethan, so I can see the screen. So we started off with achievements. So I asked the girls what had they achieved during lockdown. And then I asked them what had they learnt during lockdown that they didn't already know, and what could they do now as a result of being in lockdown that they couldn't do before. And those three questions helped to really stimulate them to think about their achievements. And the achievements we put into two groups, and obviously this is for us as adults to do this because it's a little bit more tricky, but it's achievements that are tangible, so ones that you can kind of, have got hard facts next to them or evidence or proof kind of thing. And then the less tangible ones, the things that are true but perhaps you can't actually prove them or you haven't got the evidence, but that you've done it and that that's something you've achieved for yourself. So that's what we started with, and this is what we did basically. I just sat down with them individually and we just brainstormed lots of different ideas. Then we moved on to qualities and skills, and we did this by me asking the girls, how did they think they needed to be during lockdown for them to have achieved those things? So how did they need to be? And they come up with lots of great things in there, and they're going to share with you just a couple of pointers on each of these parts of their belief bank account. And then the final one was about who they are as a person. So I asked them to think about what would their best friends say about them? How would they describe them to someone else? What would they say they were like as a person? I asked them to think about what the things they were proud of about themselves as people, and maybe what me and their dad would also say about them if somebody asked us, what are they like? And that helped us come up with some really, really nice things about them as people. And linking this back to what we talked about earlier about belief being self-esteem and self-confidence, the achievement part and even a little bit of the qualities and skills is normally helping to develop our self-confidence. But the piece that develops our self-esteem is the piece around who we are and what it is about us that we're proud of and that enables us to achieve what we need to achieve. So I'm going to hand over now to the girls, and they're going to share with you just a couple of highlights from each of those parts of their self-belief You could call it a wall, or we have chosen to do it as a piggy bank or a bank account. So, Megan, what was the first thing that you put down as your achievement you were proud of?
I built a Lego house all by myself.
That's fantastic, isn't it? So,
but I still haven't finished it, but I'm still taking my time on it.
Okay, good. So you're definitely making progress on it, but you're taking your time. That's a great thing. And what was the other thing that you put down for achievement that was not quite such a obvious achievement, but you're still proud of it?
Yeah, only the people in the house have seen it.
Yeah.
No one else can see.
So what was it?
It is, I have tried new foods. I tried a pepperoni the other night on my pizza and I liked it.
That's great, isn't it? Because you're not always the most adventurous, are you, with food? You sort of stick to the same things. So, but during lockdown, you've decided that you want to try some new things you've never tried before.
Yeah.
And what's good about that?
I liked it, but then when I tried it, I actually liked it.
Yeah, you don't know what you like unless you try it, do you? You don't know what you're good at unless you have a go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And yeah, it is a bit too spicy for me because you know I don't like spice at all.
That's okay, but at least you know that you've tried it, don't you?
Yeah, but I like the flavour and stuff of it.
Brilliant. And what about your skills and qualities? So I said to you, how do you think you've needed to be to really get through lockdown and cope with it? And what did you think was one of the things?
I've definitely been this one because I've done a lot of things.
Show everyone.
It was, I am patient because I've been really patient with my Lego because loads of people have been knocking it down.
Yeah.
And they gave me 2 of the same pieces when they were meant to give me 1 and then another thing. But Mum cleverly thought of a way we could do it.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. That's very kind. But yeah, and I think patience has been key, hasn't it, during lockdown? We've had to be patient that we can't go back to school. We've had to be patient that we can't do our football. Megan loves football. So patience has been a really important quality and skill, hasn't it, for you to get through lockdown? And what about you as a person, Megs? What are you really proud of about you as a person? What would other people say?
I've got 2, and I'm thinking of doing this one first.
Go on then, you do that one first. What's that one?
I think I am a hard worker because I love doing work at school and all sorts. And also, it's not just like schoolwork and stuff. I like doing like lots of Lego and following instructions, and that's what you can do in school sometimes.
Yeah, and I think as well as that, you're very committed to things. So when you put your heart to something, you want to see it through and you want to finish it, don't you?
Yeah, even though I haven't quite finished the Lego house.
But you will. Not yet. Yeah. Brilliant. And what was your other one? And then we're going to ask Bethan for hers.
Yeah.
So what was your last one?
My other one is I am brave.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you had to be brave during lockdown?
Because I tried pepperoni pizza that I didn't think I'd ever like.
Yeah.
And then also I've been doing skateboarding the last couple of days, last 3 days or something. And I've been trying different skills and stuff that I never thought I'd do. And it's pretty scary because I only have a helmet.
Yeah.
And there's not really like a real helmet.
Yeah.
Well, it is for bike riding and stuff. Yeah. Not for like skateboarding, so you don't have hard ones.
We only have one knee pad because the other one's lost.
Oh dear.
Yeah. That's what I have.
And again, I think, brave has been an important part of lockdown as well, having to stay at home and, do lots of things that you wouldn't normally have to do. And I think you have been really brave. And you've done things like go on long bike rides, which is not really your thing, is it? But you've done it.
This hasn't been involved with lockdown, but other times I have been really brave because I've hurt a little bone.
Yeah.
One thing I just hurt, which is my wrist, and then I fractured my ankle.
Yeah, you are. You're very brave. And how do you feel when you look at all those things that we talked about yesterday? That's only a couple, isn't it? But
yeah, we have loads more.
We have lots. So
I have felt really proud of myself, and I feel confident to do more.
Good. Brilliant. Well done, Megs. That's fantastic.
And I feel really creative for doing all them things.
Yes, that's another thing, isn't it? Brilliant. Well done, Megs. Right, Bethan. What's your achievement that you've done this lockdown that you're proud of? And there's lots, isn't there? But this is just one.
So I cycled cycled 5 kilometres.
Wow, that's further than I can cycle, by the way, and I mean that.
Yeah, you have not been on your bike.
Yeah,
for a
it's
long
definitely
time.
true. Yeah.
And I didn't stop once, but sometimes we have to go on the grass because there's loads of people who walk and some people breaking the rules having picnics.
Yeah.
So we have to move away.
Yeah, okay. But that's the furthest you've ever cycled, isn't it? So well
Yeah.
done you. That's a great achievement. And what other achievements? Remember, this one's a little bit less easy to prove, isn't it?
Yeah,
But you've
like-
definitely still done it. We know you
'cause
have.
We know that she's done it,
Yeah.
but not everyone in the world.
Yeah,
knows she's
and
our
I-
teachers.
Right, go on then.
So
So you have learnt to work from home. You
Yeah.
definitely have.
Yeah,
And
I
that's-
think lots of people have because not everyone's going to school
It's-
or work or anything.
No, that's
it's
it.
quite hard because you don't have like the exact
Materials.
same materials and stuff what you can use because we're trying to save that money. So
And at school you have a
yeah.
teacher and you have all of the drawing stuff and you have
Yeah.
all of the maths things, and we're just having to make do with mummy and a kitchen table.
But you are a very good teacher.
Thank you. Right, okay, anyway, enough about me. So, what about when we talked about, so how have you needed to be during lockdown to achieve the things you've achieved? So
There's
what was one of the
loads of
things?
ways.
There's lots of things, there is, but what was one of them you said? Share it with everybody?
Flexible because there's loads of different ways how you can be flexible. One of them is
Come into the screen a little bit, people can't see you.
one of them is like you
Yeah.
are very bendy.
Bendy, yeah. That helps you do all
Yeah.
your sporting things, yeah.
I'm like that 'cause I go to gym but I've still been practicing on my trampoline, but not that much.
Okay,
just
and how else?
few.
How else do you have to be flexible? Because you said there's lots of ways. So how else? Bethan, come in the screen, darling, because people can't see you.
Uh,
Do you remember we talked about actually when you're working from having to do work from
Yeah.
home? That's being flexible, isn't it? Because you're not doing what you've always had to do. So that's a way of being flexible, doing something different. Yeah. Oh, we're all moving around here now. All right, Megan, you're still in, right? So okay, and then finally, show us the last two, which is about who you are as a person and what's
okay.
helped us and or help you, should I say, through lockdown.
I have got two. It is I am generous.
You are. And how's that helped you during lockdown or helped us get through? What? Remember we talked about it being a way, you talked about sharing yesterday, didn't
Yeah.
you?
So I always share stuff when I get sweets from a birthday, and that's like a pack of Haribo's or a packet of squishy sweets. But such as if I had a lolly, I would like to share it, but I can't because all my germs are being in my mouth.
Okay, but you're very good at sharing, aren't you? And during lockdown, where we're all locked in the house
Yeah.
together 24/7, it helps us all, doesn't it? If we're kind and
But
we
she
share.
only shares stuff like Starburst and because you have loads of different ones.
Yeah, and we have to be really
Yeah.
careful of all that sort of stuff at the moment, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was the other one that you put down for who you are and what you're proud of
So,
about who you are?
I am confident, such as whenever someone asks me something, can you do a show or something, I would say, I'll have a go at it. No, I wouldn't say, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Because we never know how I could be. So I could be bad and not do it again. But then I can do it good and it's worth trying because I can do it. So I'll know next time I will do it again. And then I'll keep on getting better and better and I'll get to higher levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Confidence is definitely what helps us to achieve lots of things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well done, girls. And how did you feel when you looked at all of the things that we wrote down that you'd achieved and the things you can do and
So
who you are?
I've got two things how I felt. Megan's got the same, so I'll say this one first. I feel clever and I feel proud because some people might not be able to do the same things as me, but like I'm proud. That's my first thing, clever, but I'm proud of myself because I came up with this idea with my mum and stuff, and it's good. Yeah. So then these are the shapes of coins, and then we call it a piggy bank, but you can call it something else.
It's a self-belief piggy bank, isn't it? And so we're going to keep putting coins in, aren't we? And we're going to make sure.
You can just go and look back and put them in after we've read.
Yeah.
That's very true, Megan.
And
yeah.
we can maybe do it again.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep adding coins. We want our piggy bank to be full, don't we? Our self-belief piggy bank to be full. But
what happens once they've run out?
Yeah, but they won't run out because those things won't be taken away from you, will they? Because those things you've achieved, no one can say you haven't or take them away because you've done it. And those things about you as a person and who you are, that's who you are. No one can take them away.
No.
So all we do is keep adding the coins to the self-belief piggy bank.
Yeah.
And like Megan said, you know, when you're having a day where perhaps you're not feeling so good and you're a bit sad or lonely, you can go and have a look and realising all the things you've achieved and what a wonderful person you are and what you've got that helps you to achieve things will make you feel so much better, won't it? So we hope you can have a go at doing this too, and we'd love to see any examples or photos
on the comments
comments box. That would be great.
And click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my mum's or someone else's videos.
And the subscribe, and that helps us to reach more people as well, because the more subscribers, the more we can get out to people. So that'd be lovely if you could do that. We'd really enjoy reading your comments, and we'd really like you to come back to our channel and see all of the fabulous videos.
This video has made you really happy.
Yeah. Right, we're going to go now. Thanks. Bye.